Mic test, 1 2. Check mic 1 2. Mic test 1 2. Today is July 13th, 2022. This is a mic test. Mic test.
Good evening, everyone. We're waiting on Elaine Ortiz. She's running a little late in order to have a quorum because the other three my colleagues are not going to be here tonight, so we need one more to make a quorum. So we're just waiting on Elaine. Thank you so much. Good evening. Work session of the Board of Trustees, Honolulu School District will be held Wednesday, July 13th, 2022. Meeting called to order. The time is 6:39. Roll call of recording of the board members. Ms. Cavazos. Present. Mr. Luna.
Present.
Ms. Ortiz.
Here and Ms. Limon, please, I'd like to extend my profuse regrets for being so late. It doesn't happen, not like this. And please accept my apologies.
Yes, ma'am. And myself, Ms. Limon. And Mr. Moreno, Ms. Carrillo, Mr. Mancho will not be here tonight. We go to Mr. Soto. Would you present your staff and cabinet, sir?
Yes, Madam Chair, Board of Trustees, HISD family. Tonight, this evening, we have Dr. Hinojosa, Executive Director of Operations.
Here.
We have Ms. Casey, Executive Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction.
Here.
And we have our Public Information Officer, Mariana Videa.
Here.
Thank you, Mr. Soto. Welcome, staff. Item number 3, so I'd like to, sorry, Ms. Castleberry, would like to introduce Ms. Castle. Welcome, Ms. Castleberry. Good evening.
Thank you.
Item number 3, the board will conduct a work session with the superintendent and staff. Mr. Soto?
Also, Madam Chair, we do have our Executive Director of HR on Zoom. If there are any questions should arise on her items. Dr. Salinas.
Yes, I'm present.
Ma'am, at this time on item number 4, I'm asking the board for us to do further investigation and research on this item and bring it back if need be in a later date.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Soto. Go to item number 5, Ms. Casey.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Limon. We have several contracts or MOUs that will be up for agreement. They're on page 2. I'm sorry, not page 2. They're on page 4 of your board book. The first one will be our STEM Early College. It's our partnership or MOU with Palo Alto College. In that, it defines what our financial agreements are for STEM Early College, how we pay for which courses, and of course, our textbooks. We have been partners with them for over 8 years, and we are going and we're having another freshman class joining this year. I don't.
Thank you, Ms. Casey. Go on to item, nope. Okay, sorry about that.
No, you're fine.
This is my first time. Please be patient. Does anybody have any comments or questions to my colleagues?
I don't.
All right. Then thank you. So we're going to item number 6.
Yes.
Ms. Casey.
We're still on item 5. We have a few more contracts and I'm going to ask Ms. Della Taylor to come up. She is going to go through the next 5 items. They are continued on your page 4 and 5 of your board book and she will go through the next 5 items.
Okay, good evening, Madam Vice President, members of the board, Mr. Soto, and those assembled. The items in which we'll talk about is Emergent Tree, which is a new program in which we're wanting to bring to the district to assist with our discipline. And starting with our tier 1, helping our campuses deal with different behaviors of our children on the campuses. It is a software that has a framework. We introduced or brought in tier 3 last year, on which we use at our middle schools and our high schools. And now we're going to tier 1 because those interventions will be implemented in the classroom with the teachers. Were there any questions regarding that?
Does anybody have any questions, any comments?
Madam Chair.
I have,
Go ahead, Mr. Luna.
Yeah, I just was talking with Ms. Case earlier. So just the emergency is really to kind of enhance what or have a system now that's going to be across the board so we can better monitor
Absolutely.
our students, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Uniform across the district. The next item is,
I believe that Ms. Ortiz has a comment.
It's a brand new program that
No,
we're
ma'am.
bringing to the district, and I'd like to, what's the history? Who is out there that has experienced success?
East Central has been using this program for probably about 6 or 7 years. We used it here in the district this past school year at the tier 3 level, in which we used with our special units and our behavior units, middle schools and high schools.
And we've had success,
Absolutely.
and East Central has had the same kind of disciplinary actions. Are they similar? Are we comparing apples to apples when we're going? with
When we're
this?
talking about student behavior, I would say yes. What it is going to equip our teachers with tools to deal with behavior in the classroom so that we can keep our kids in the least restrictive environment. It will be used not only with special ed students, but our general ed population as well.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Were there any other questions?
Just one more question. At what grade level would this be? Just an all grade level? Or we're
Tier-
talking about
Tier 1, we're
Mhm.
introducing in our elementaries.
elementary level?
Yes, ma'am. And we will keep Tier 3 in the middle schools and high schools.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I do have a question if I can, Ms. Limon. Will we get an update at the end of the year, letting us know that we're finding success with it?
Absolutely.
Oh.
We can, the program, we can run different reports through the program. However, it will be really come out in our discipline data.
Okay.
And so that we'll know how, we're keeping our kids in class and reducing the amount of, referrals and removals from classes.
Thank you so much. Don't create the wheel for me. Just let me know we're doing good. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. The next is our agreement that we have, which is a renewal with SAISD, which is our regional day school program.
So are you going to present it, Ms.?
Oh, I can.
Well, I don't know, Ms. Casey, you're presenting this or
No,
she is? Okay, go
no, I
ahead.
can.
Go ahead, sweetie.
This is a renewal. We've been in partnership with SAISD. The regional day school is a specialized school for students who are deaf and hard of hearing. And so the majority of our kids, and don't have very many, probably about 6, currently enrolled. They're enrolled here in Harlandale and they receive services in SAISD, and we bus them there for the specialized services in which they need.
Any questions or any comments on this?
I actually do. How long have we had that partnership?
I've been director now 11 years in the district, 17, so I would say over 20 years.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much.
Prior to, and let me just add, prior to it moving to, because SAISD, we've been with SAISD for about 6 years. Prior to that, it was in South San. And so the agreement was with South San at that time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Moving on to the next item.
The next item on the agenda is our closed circuit TV for VI and O&M, which is a renewal. It's a service in which we contract SAISD to provide for the students who are receiving services at the regional day school.
Any questions? Any comments on this item?
The next item on the agenda is a renewal for the Bays Achievement Center. Bays Achievement Center is a residential placement for students who need specialized services that the district we can't provide, to be honest with you. Some of our students need a more restrictive environment, and that's what Bays Achievement Center is.
Yes.
Yeah, the
Yes,
two
I
hundred
know.
fifty-five
Yeah.
thousand, the 255,000, how much is that gonna be reimbursed, more or less?
Actually, I am proud to say that we just received a reimbursement from the state for $129,000 of those funds in which we spent. And we will continue
Excellent.
to apply for the high cost funds so that the state can subsidize the cost.
All right, thank you.
And Ms. Ortiz, you have a question?
Yes, it's residential treatment that is non-court ordered.
Yes, ma'am.
It's through the agreement of the parents or the guardians or for residential treatment.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Go on to the next one.
And the next item on the agenda is our smart data dashboard. Now, this is new. The Smart Data Dashboard program is one that will give us real-time data for discipline with our students, general ed and special ed. That way administrators, teachers, and those who have access to this data can see real-time how many referrals a student has had, how many removals they have had, so that we can provide interventions earlier.
Any questions on this item or comments?
I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah, my question was that how long was it taking before without this system in place? How long
Well,
does it take usually?
Quite some time, because we depend on our data with, was ITEX, now Ascender. And those programs are only as good as the person that is entering the data. This way, once a referral is done, once it's entered into the system, Smart Data will talk to our system and upload that information. And so it's at the fingertips of the administrators real time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. No other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. We go to item number 6. Ms. Casey?
Yes, thank you. On page 8 and 9 of your board book, you have our no pass, no play. We are required by UIL to pass this, but before the first day of school every year. Because we're starting earlier, we usually do this in August. We're doing it now in July. This basically will allow a student, if they don't pass and meet a 70, if they're in any of the classes that are listed on page 7, they will be exempt from the no pass, no play, and they'll be able to play. They'll be considered eligible. Otherwise, if we don't have this list, they would not be eligible to participate.
So
Does
we're
any-
talking if,
Go ahead.
so are we talking that if they're failing?
Mhm. If a student is failing an advanced course, all these courses are advanced, dual credit, AP honors. If a student fails an advanced course, because it's more rigorous, if they have a 65 compared to a 65 in a regular class, they would not be eligible to play, but in an advanced class, they would.
Because in the advanced class, they get 10 extra points at the end of the year, don't they?
That's for GPA, for weighting purposes when we run GPAs. Mhm.
Thank you.
I have a question, may I?
Go ahead, go ahead.
Ms. Casey, so is it because these advanced courses, I don't want to call them an option or an elective, but the regular course is what the students need to take. If they opt to take an advanced course, they're going above the required course.
Well, this is an Texas Education Code. And so this no pass, no play probably passed over 20 years ago. That was probably the rationale, not to penalize students who challenge themselves. And in the event they failed, there was a protection for them to still be eligible to play. I guess it's almost an incentive for kids to challenge and to take the more rigorous courses.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Casey, for that.
The next thing is, I'm sorry, you want me to go on?
We're going to.
I just had
Oh,
a,
yes, I'm sorry.
on that last item, I just had a comment basically saying the reverse is, if they're not failing, they'll still be able to participate, correct?
Correct.
That's
Mhm.
basically what it's saying.
Mhm.
So After being around a lot of people, I understand there's two ways to look at things, at least two ways to look at things, if not more than that. So that's the way I understand it. Thank you.
Going on to item number 7, Ms. Casey.
Yes, so on page 8 of your board book, we can request for a waiver from the state that will allow us to 2,100 minutes should we opt to use a school day for teacher staff development. Up to 2,000 minutes that will count towards our required minutes and not penalize us. So right now we have planning days scheduled, which would not be a part of these 2,100 minutes. But in the event we add a planning day, we want to have a waiver in place. Should we add a planning day, we can claim those waivers against our required 600 minutes for instruction and won't penalize us for funding.
Anybody have any questions or comments on this? Go ahead.
Just point of information is how many minutes is considered a day?
I believe our day is 420 minutes.
So you're looking at 2,100 here.
Mhm,
So you're looking at about 5 days, maybe if we need to.
if we needed to.
Okay.
If we, like an early release day, we could also count it as long as we have professional development, we could count those minutes.
Okay. Is it something like we did at the end of the school year this year?
No, what we did at the end of the school year this year is we already satisfied our 75,600 minutes. So we basically had just time that we could use. And in light of what occurred, we thought it was the best interest of the students.
Okay, thanks for the explanation. Thank you.
Ms. Casey, did we use it last year?
We did not, we had a waiver in place. However, we did not use the minutes. We didn't have to claim any of those.
Good. Okay, great. Thank you. Ms. Campos, you have a question?
So this is just as a backup. If we need it, we have it there. If we don't need it, then we don't use it.
Correct.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Casey. Going on to item number 8, Ms. Casey.
Yeah, no, I have this one as well. About this, we were going into our 3rd year. This is the 3rd year since we first adopted Renaissance. It is our screener that we use for reading and math. We use it for 2nd through 12th grade. We test our students at the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, and the end of the year. That is what we report on monthly when we do our GPMs. Part of this is also Freckle. It is an adaptive program. So if students test the level they test at, then there's reading and math courses, reading and math practice that students can do to build their skills. We use Freckle in 2nd through 5th in elementary, and we have it available all the way through 12th grade. So this is something that is a renewal. It costs $400,000, but it does cover all of our students in all of our schools. And it's used consistently across. We did pay through ESSER funds last year and plan to pay with ESSER funds this year as well.
Do you have a question? Norma,
I
go ahead.
do
Norma.
have a question.
Okay. go
I don't
ahead.
know if I can ask it, Mr. Rosendez. What happens when we no longer have ESSER funds?
So
We'll cross the bridge when we get there?
The first year we did pay out of local funds. And we pay out general fund. The board approved a budget amendment and that's how it was paid. In the 2nd year and 3rd year, which the ESSER funds are available and we can use it for that purpose, we did. Moving forward, this year we would probably go out for another RFP and we'll probably look at other options. We would look at what options we have for the screener and maybe not do the adaptive piece because by then we're hoping to have other things in place. And so we'll have to see what our options are.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Casey.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Comments? Thank you, Ms. Casey. Go on to item number 9, Ms.
9.
Casey.
Yeah, so this is the
This is
last
your
one.
night. This is your
This
night
is
to-
actually for approval for Imagine Learning. We've had Imagine Learning in K1 math. So in the item before, we use Freckle for 2nd through 5th grade in math, but we still need an intervention program for our kinder through 1st. So Imagine Learning is actually our program for K1. It actually also is provided in Spanish as well. And this is probably our 4th year using this program. And that is also paid, it's paid from we pay with title funds, our math funds and our CNI funds. We kind of, everyone contributes and it covers all our kinder and 1st graders.
Anybody have any questions, comments? Thank you, Ms. Casey. We're
Thank
going to item number 10, Ms. Virginia, Ms.
That's
Gallegos.
me.
Okay, thank you. Hi, Ms. Gallegos.
Hello, good
Hi.
evening, Board of Trustees, Mr. Soto and Cabinet. I'm here and this one, we're seeking approval for our service delivery contract with Communities in Schools. We've had a partnership with them, a very successful partnership the last couple of years. And with me, I have Miss Jennifer Weaver and also Rachel Vargas that are going to do a really quick presentation for you.
Hi, yes, good evening. My name is Dr. Rachel Vargas. I'm the field supervisor that oversees all of the CIS site coordinators here in Harlandale ISD. And I'm here to talk to you about our service delivery agreement and a little bit about the year for you here. So let's see, I got the next slide here. There we go. I want to go over our evidence-based model, what you see from CIS. We have a model that works, has been tested, tried and true by research. We hire a educated individual to be placed on a school campus and begin collaborating with the community, the school staff, and the principal to conduct a needs assessment to look for gaps in areas where we may need to provide more support, where the schools may not be able to do that without our partnership. In that, they conduct planning with the principal, with school staff, with myself, and begin to look at services, group services, individual services, or school-wide services that they can provide. The great thing about some of our services, we tier our services. So our tier 2 and 3 services are actually students with a parent consent to be in the CIS program, and the site coordinators will then conduct an assessment on the student's needs and create a service plan individualized for that student and provide the services based on that. Doesn't stop there. We continue by monitoring that every grade period to look for progress or if they need to continual improvement or services. And then at the end of the year, we collect all of the data on the student to look at whether they made an improvement or they regress in that, but not for a lack of providing services. The services are still there. In Harlandale, we're at 3 elementary schools, all 4 middle schools, and McCollum, Harlandale, and Tejeda. This year it looked like 841 students that case managed, the ones that got the individualized service plans and the individualized services. We also service whole school-wide supports. And so that was over 20,000 students receiving those school-wide supports. And it looked a little bit like this. If we disaggregate what that looks like, mainly that major bar chart right there, which is supportive guidance. That's the attendance efforts. That's the mental health referrals. That is meeting and checking and connect with the students. And then you'll see academic enhancement is another area that we have been providing supports, as well as health and human services and our enrichment, which a lot of the students talk about are their field trips and their college tours, the things that they get to do outside of the school environment with and because of CIS. Now, on top of that traditional model that I just showed you, the service delivery agreement also gives access to the district to 2 of our other programs. One is our Project Access program, and that's our mental health program, which is short-term on-site, short-term counseling with a clinician. And all of the site coordinators make referrals out there. I believe we are now in collaboration with the care center on that. So referrals coming into the care center, knowing that there are CIS on that campus, we refer out to the Project Access program first. And there was about 46 students this year, which is over 380 sessions. The second program on top of the traditional program is the graduation coach program. That's our post-secondary readiness program. It works specifically with the male students, 11th and 12th grade, although they can work with 9th and 10th. They're also located on a campus, but split their time between McCollum High School and Harlandale High School. There are 45 students between the 2 schools with over 250 sessions. And again, based on referrals from the site coordinator that's placed on that campus to be able to work with that. And then just giving you a few, for those who are visual people, these are a few of our pictures of some of our programmings that happened in the spring this past year.
Madam Chair.
But Elaine, you have a question?
I have a really quick question. So who does the referrals?
Yeah, so
Is
the-
it coming from counselors or?
At the beginning of the year, the site coordinator, myself and the principal meet to discuss who gives the referrals. The principal can decide whether only themselves, their admin, or broadly across anybody, any adult on the campus that wants to make a referral to the program. So the principal does get to decide that at the beginning of the year.
And children or students can be referred at any point during the year.
That's correct. We are given a mandated caseload goal by Texas Education Agency. So we're trying to reach that number, although we don't ever turn any student away, which also we had seen a lot of that this year.
Thank you.
Oh. Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
Madam Chair?
Go ahead. Go ahead, Norm.
So I just want to say that during COVID, communities in school was very good at calling the homes.
Yeah.
I got more than several calls from you all asking, does your student need anything? Do you all need anything? You know, how are they doing? How are they feeling? You know, do they need help with classes? I mean, always. And then I asked my neighbors, you know, that had kids in school, and they're like, yes, we got the calls. Then they return hybrid the following year. And those calls didn't stop. How are they doing? What do you need? And it wasn't just what does the student need? What does the family need? What can we do for you? I mean, it was excellent. Another year goes by and now they're all in school. And those calls remained constant. And so I appreciate that. And they were like, there's a career, day, they're signing up for FAFSA. We're doing a tour to this school. You're welcome to come, and meet us there. I mean, constant communication with the families and the students. And I truly appreciate that, because sometimes the kids come home and they don't tell us what's happening or where they're going or what opportunities they can look into. But those calls to the parents were extremely helpful. Not to mention, we appreciated the fact that you all were on top of the student always being successful. And I appreciate that. So I just wanted to make that comment.
I'll also relay that message to our site coordinators as well.
Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Mr. Luna.
Yes, as many of y'all know, I've been in the district a long time. And I know I used to do a summer school at Leal or Adams ACC, that CIS was there. And I would see like, wow, I wish we had this more on my home campus. So is there any means of expanding this services throughout like the whole district? And then the second question, I guess y'all can ponder is, do y'all have any research saying that the schools that you do help, campuses you do help, like for example, the elementary level, that do you see positive gains in those schools as opposed to schools that don't have your services?
We do collect the data at the end of the year for the program every year. That's something that the data team and our agency can conduct. If that's something somebody wants, we can pass that along to the right individuals. For your first question, I believe the answer to that lies on the people that sit across the other table about expansion.
Well, I'm just speaking about trying to get some public input, maybe foundations to come help us, and maybe we can look into them sponsoring your program. But if we have the money, the funds, is your program willing to have the resources to expand?
It would be something we would need to look into, especially with, we have open our hiring on our website. It's been open probably for the last couple of years due to COVID, has never gone down. So we're always continually interviewing individuals for these roles of site coordinator.
Thank you. Like I can reiterate, being an ex-employee of Harndale, I can see the benefits of your program. I can see it, especially at graduation. I know a lot of times my ex-students come back asking me for help. So I can also get them to refer you to as well, so you can help them.
Exactly.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Excuse me. I want to ask one more question on the elementaries. How do you select the elementaries and the middle schools on the performance? Elementaries. I'm sorry, the elementary levels. I'm sorry.
I believe the initial conversation might have been around the data. We definitely look at the data together and to kind of look to see that need. That is a conversation that happens with our administrative, those above me and with those who are at the the district level to have that conversation.
Ms. Limon, if I could also add, we usually meet with them at the end of the year, beginning of the year to plan to move forward. And to your question, Mr. Luna, for the 10 schools we have, it does cost $450,000. And so we are very mindful of that. And we always look at prioritizing our campuses. We would love to have it at all campuses. And we actually had a meeting this week, was it this week? About expanding services in other areas. To add the 10 other schools, we're probably looking at close to $1 million. And that's just kind of the number, that's just kind of how we work backwards from there.
I just
Ms. Co-
also, I just want to make sure I give credit. The 450,000 is also a match that where we look for funding, because you talked about different funders. We look for funding that can match the district so that you don't have to pay the full cost of each staff. So we have money from TEA, we have money from United Way, we have different pots of money. We have a federal grant that pays for the clinician. So we're always looking to support you so that you're not paying the full cost of that. So there are different funding sources that come to the table, and we're always looking for those opportunities.
And we're always asking.
I have a quick question. I don't know if I still have time left on my timer. Do I? Just because, so you're housed at these 3 elementary schools, but if my child is at a different elementary school, it doesn't mean that you can't reach out to that family, to that family, right? Or how does that work?
Yeah, so usually what will happen is the staff cannot service that student because the staff are knowledgeable and making referrals out to other agencies. They try to help out. They come with a compassionate heart and will try to help out the family. And I think also that collaboration with the care center is where we've seen that success. So they may not be able to provide that service, but they know that the district has the care center to do.
Perfect.
fund.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. We're going to item number 11. Who's taking them? Dr. Welsh,
It's me, Dr. Salinas.
Dr. Salinas, she's via Zoom, so she's.
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear
item
me?
Number 11.
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we could barely hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
You can hear me? Okay.
Go ahead, Dr. Salinas, we could hear you.
Okay, just making sure. Thank you so much, esteemed board members. This is about the district's athletic insurance that we are requesting approval for on Monday night. This is a renewal. However, we did go out for a request for proposal. We had 6 vendors respond. On the committee was Dr. Hinojosa, it was Ms. Martinez, Ms. Guajardo, and myself. And we did elect to select Texas Kids First voluntary student insurance through Universal Fidelity Life Insurance and catastrophic benefits, again through Texas Kids First. And this is found on page 12 of your board book. The cost for this would be $56,190. That's $49,900 for the premium, and then $6,290 for the catastrophic portion. The voluntary student accident insurance is also offered to parents for purchase at the beginning of the school year, and that is at no cost to the district.
Anybody have any questions and comments? Okay, no questions, no comments? Okay. Thank you, Dr. Salinas.
Thank you.
We'll go on to item number 12. Ms. Casey, Ms. Taylor? Who's doing this?
Yes, so in item number 12, we are asking for approval to go out. We went for a request for proposal for educational diagnostician services. We do have LSSPs and educational diagnosticians on staff. However, we have a large number of referrals. And once a referral is made, we're required to test the students, and we are required to test them within a certain amount of time. We have pending assessments. And so I'm not sure how many people submitted for this, but I know that the recommendation is that we approve assessment intervention management, Marlo M. Gonzalez Assessments and Consultants for therapy. They range from $55 to $100 an hour, and that is paid out of federal grant funds, IDOB funds, or special ed funds.
Anybody have any questions, any comments on this item? Thank you, Ms. Casey. This is going quick. So we're going to item number 13. Dr. Hinojosa.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair and members of the board. So this particular information item is related to the renovations at Memorial Stadium Priority 2. If you remember back in March, we were presented with the schematic designs by the architects, RVK. And so this is just the next process. So back at the beginning of June, we, through the help of Mr. Mora and the purchasing agent in his office, we put out a request for proposals, competitive seal bids. We received those and closed those at the end of June, on June 28th. And so after reviewing with myself and Mr. Ramirez, our Director of Maintenance, Ms. Martinez, the Director of Information Services, and with consultation with architects, after the tabulation, the marksman general contractors were the highest ranking of the 5 competitive proposals that we received. And so on Monday, we will be bringing forth asking for formal approval to enter negotiations with Marksman's general contractors to proceed with Priority 2 at Memorial Stadium.
Anybody have questions, any comments?
I do. Is there a list, and maybe you did provide it, so I apologize ahead of time if I'm, not remembering, but is there a list of what that Priority 2 is going to be done? Like what?
As far as what the projects that are all related
Yes,
to
sir.
Priority 2,
Yes.
we didn't provide it for this. We did in that March, but we can definitely have it put back in and present it on.
You know
on
what? I have it. I just want to
Okay.
make sure that it's still the same
Yes,
and
ma'am.
not something more or something less than what was on that list.
Right. So no, so we're basing everything off that schematic
Okay.
designs, and then depending on once we get into negotiations, we'll be able to really narrow down the scope of the
Okay,
project.
perfect. Thank you so much. I will go back to my March notes and take a look at it.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you.
I
Go
would
ahead.
still like to see it.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, we can definitely provide
We
that.
have the priorities and then we have the scope of work and the approximate date lines on
The
there.
timeline. Yes, ma'am.
The
That was all
timelines on
provided
there?
with the schematic designs, and then once we go into the formal negotiations, then we'll be able to narrow that down a little bit more specifically, and we can definitely present that information to the board.
Thank you.
And this will be in the next regular board meeting, sir?
I'm sorry.
And this will be in the next regular board meeting
We can.
or HH?
Yes, ma'am. We can
Okay.
have it in HH.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Mr. Soto.
at this time, can I have the architect Heath Weinreich come up to the podium for a second? I have a question that I would like to see if the board, to inform the board. Heath, since this was done in January 2022, it's been 2 years past, COVID, inflation. I know we did an estimated cost for this project. Is there a chance that we're going to be over the estimated cost?
So you said January of 2022, but I think you mean January of 2020. Yeah, so there has been some pretty extreme inflation, somewhere in the neighborhood about 20% from that time till now. With that being said, the way that we developed the set was we had about 9 alternates. And that was to give the district flexibility in which ones they would pick so that we could tailor that scope to the budget. So that's really kind of like what I think the point of the negotiations is to get in there. Like, we can't accept all alternates. The alternates aren't necessarily like removing scope per se, right? If we talked about, X amount of work in the press box, that's still there. The alternates are to help just kind of manage it could be like this metal siding versus that metal siding. And it'll give the district options on what that value is so that we can get something that will actually work within the budget. So I'm optimistic that we can do that, even with all the inflation.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Soto. Any other questions, comments? Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Hinojosa. We go on to item number 16.
Yeah.
Okay. We did. I'm sorry, item number 14,
Yes.
Ms. Casey.
This is on page 16 of your board book. We did a request for services for speech therapy services. We have about 500 students in our district that require speech therapy. We do have a few speech therapists on site. However, there is a shortage of speech therapists. And so what we would like to do is contract with three different companies. They each will service students as reported on their ARD, which they'll a few times a week. We would like to contract with Speech Specialist San Antonio, Texas Star Speech Language Services, and Donald Moody Enterprises. And the Stepping Stones Group Assessment Intervention Management. This is also paid from federal funds. It's special ed federal funds and direct services to students.
Does anybody have any questions? Any comments on this item?
Madam Chair, if
Go
I
ahead.
do, can I just email you my questions, Ms. Casey?
Sure.
Thank you
Yes,
very
ma'am.
much.
Thank you, Ms. Casey. Going on to item number 15. Dr. Hinojosa?
Yes, Madam Chair. This particular item is in relations to the concessionaires at Memorial Stadium. Again, going through a similar process in terms of requesting proposals, working through Mr. Mora's office. After going through the tabulations, the organization of Cake and Q Catering, it will be we'll bring that forward on Monday as being recognized, being awarded the contract as a concessionaire for our different contests.
I have a
Ms.
comment.
Hinojosa?
Yes, may I?
Yes, go ahead.
Is part of the contract, is there language that says fully service? And I guess what I'm getting at is that during the football season, there were so many parents, including my husband, who would complain that at halftime, it's like they ran out of water, they ran out of this, they ran out of that. And it was, I mean, I could tell my husband, okay. But the other parents are like, hey, what happened? And I'd be like, oh, yeah, I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is if the contract says fully service our facility, can we make sure that they really fully service?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think part of this, as far as moving forward, we could definitely, once we get to Monday and after we have that conversation with them, if they were awarded, we can definitely have conversations with them and then make sure we monitor it. So the way the RFP was proposed is they are eligible, as it reads at the very last line, where they are eligible for 1-year extensions. So, but that's not guaranteed for 3 years. So they're renewal after every year. So we can definitely have a discussion with them to make sure that we provide the service for our community.
Yes, because I really don't want another football season and not able to explain why things are happening the way they were happening last football
Right,
season.
and we're also going to have conversations with them once if we go through the process and they are approved, simply because of the dynamics next year. They're going to be different because of the having to shut down the home side. So everything's going to be facilitated out of the visitor side. So we were definitely going to sit down and so it is going to take a different look next year because of that change. So we definitely will make sure that we bring those concerns with them.
Thank you, Dr. Hinojosa.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question.
Oh, Ms. Ortiz, go ahead.
How many respondents did we get to this RFP?
We had one. Yes, ma'am.
One. So
Yes,
we
ma'am.
don't, this is our choice, our one choice.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Luna, go ahead.
Yes, I'm just wondering, I know things are gonna be different, and I know the Frontier Bowl is a whole different animal by itself. But I don't know, we need to look into somehow getting, modernization of things like services, like I'm going to like food trucks, like a food truck. I know people that are involved in food trucks and they get in bids and things like that. So I don't know, we need to change this process for the concession stand or give people our options. And I really felt embarrassed there because people from other parts of town were coming and they didn't have a concession stand on their side. And they had to come across the field into the home side to get, and they're like, my goodness, these people, And so I'm trying to hope to avoid it in the future. So whatever negotiation you make and whatever we need to do to modernize the process, to do that, because people do expect, it's weird. People expect tradition, but they also expect to be serviced. So
Yes, sir. Yeah, then that's a great point. I think that's the flexibility with this, is that we do have the option on a yearly basis. And if there are some areas that we want to address, we definitely can do that. It's not going to be automatic renewal for 3 years. We have the option after every year to revisit it.
thank
I have a
you.
question, Mr. Inoue, who
Yes, ma'am.
monitors the concession stands?
As far as on a daily,
Well, of course.
I
when we
mean,
have
at
an
the
event-
events,
When we have any events, football games or anything,
Mhm.
who monitors?
To say that we actively monitor, I have to get that information for you. I'm not too sure we have anybody on staff, right? Okay, so they fall under Mr. Hernandez. So we'd have to probably ask him. Mhm.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
So I don't know who this goes to, but if there's non-performance in the contract, is there something in there that says that we would be able to terminate? And what is the definition of non-performance?
So, excellent question. As with all of our contracts, we have a cancellation for convenience. The board is almost always going to have that as an option. As far as anything that's dealing with breach of contract, we would have to follow the standard process. We'd have to issue a notice to cure. We'd have to give them time. And if they haven't, then we would terminate the contract. So that is always an option that we have. But we would still have to provide proper notification, documentation, et cetera, et cetera.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other
Madam Chair.
questions? Go ahead, Mr. Soto.
Just to comment on this item, because it's been going on for about, I say 5 to 6 years. Once we lost that one vendor that been here at Harlandale for a very, very long time. We even try to use our child nutrition to service it, and we just couldn't get enough of them to work because they come in so early to start breakfast. And then by the evening, they were done. And usually it was a Friday. So we tried that. I know Coach Martinez has reached out to other concessions and other districts. We reached out to some of them that were doing work over there and said, can you submit? And they didn't submit. So it's an ongoing issue. We'll keep monitoring it. And I know Ms. Ortiz had made a great comment when we were doing agenda setting, and I'll just remind me on what she had mentioned. Maybe that can help with some of the performance. But trustees, we are trying.
Thank you, Mr. Soto. I know you're trying, but good suggestions. My colleague, Ms. Ortiz, suggested boosters, because I know when we go off to games and everything, and who manages concessions are all booster parents. But you have to have a strong booster parent to do that. So it's a lot of work, but maybe there's another one. Thank you, sir. Thank
Yes,
you very
ma'am.
much.
Thank you very much.
Go on to item number 16. Dr. Salinas.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. This is our annual T-Tess appraisal calendar. It's found on page 18 of your board book. On page 19, you'll see an actual calendar with dates that are blocked out, and also on page 20. So by law, we have to have obviously a T-Tess calendar. We have to exclude the first 3 weeks of instruction, and we cannot do the before or after any holidays. So with this calendar, we would begin September 1st and end May 9th. And then before and after any holiday, those would be excluded days for observations.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on this agenda item? No. Well, thank you, Ms. Dr. Salinas. We have no questions or comments on this item.
Thank you.
But if we do, we'll email you, Dr. Salinas.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sweetie. Oh, you're also going to do agenda item 17?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Go ahead.
Agenda item 17 is about the appraisers. We are asking the board to approve the T-Test appraisers, which would include all current and future 2022, 2023 principals, assistant principals, and academic deans. This pool of appraisers would also be available in the event a teacher requests a second evaluation. I know there was a question on, do we have anybody at central office who actually does these observations? And we have people at central office who are certified in T-Tess. However, they are not included in the T-Tess evaluation or appraisers, and nor are they included if there's a second evaluation.
What they do. Oh, anybody have any questions or comments on this item? If there's no questions or comments on this item, Dr. Salinas,
Thank you.
you also have item number 18.
I do. This is my last item. This item is about our casualty and general liability coverage. Last year we paid, I want to say $200,607. This year the premium is $223,463 annually. I did break down for the board on page 22 of the board book the different coverages along with the deductibles. So this policy would include cyber coverage, $25,000 deductible. The cyber coverage costs us $61,486 annually. The general liability and employee benefits liability is $1,000 per occurrence for the deductible. And that one costs $18,593 annually. The educator's legal liability, is $100,000 deductible. That one costs us $43,243 annually. The automobile liability is a $2,000 deductible, and that one costs $56,076 annually. And the last one is the auto physical damage, again with a $2,000 deductible and $44,065 annually. I also want to point out for the board that we also have some value added services that are included with this policy that would include driver training, on-site driver training sessions, and school bus driver DVD training programs. We also have online liability training for school employees, and also safe bus community bus driver monitoring for the yellow and white fleet. Again, a safety monitoring program that is also included.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Ms. Ortiz.
So it's sort of like taking defensive driving. After you take defensive driving, then does the school district get a discount for all of these individuals that are taking this?
That's a great question, Ms. Ortiz. I do not know. I would have to ask and I will get back with you.
Thank you.
Who knows? Who said that?
I have a question, if I may.
Go ahead, Ms. Cavazos.
How long have we had Property Casualty Alliance of Texas?
Mr. Mora, do you have that answer? Because I do not.
I've been dealing with it for 5 years, and so what happened before that was
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Go ahead, Ms. Ortiz.
I have a question. Are our buses covered under the automobile liability, or where are they covered under this?
Yes, they are. We do have, our buses are covered under the automobile liability.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Salinas.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going on to item number 19. Ms.
Yes,
Peña?
Ms. Gallegos and Ms. Peña. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening again. I have agenda item number 19. This is on the student code of conduct for 22-23. This one is we're requesting approval and review. It is pretty straightforward. It comes from Walsh Gallegos. We didn't have a legislative session this year, but I do have Ms. Kathy Peña here with me if you have some specific questions on the student code of conduct.
Anybody have any questions on this item? Ms. Cavazos?
I'll be real honest, I haven't looked at it because I think we just received it today. So I will look at it, and if I have questions, I will email. Okay, thank you so much.
Not a problem. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Gallegos. Going on to item number 20. On item number 20, we're going to move this, we're going to table this item to the work session on August 10th. So this item will be tabled.
Ms. Limon, so
Is it 10th?
is there a motion to move agenda item 28?
I'm sorry, yes, 20A.
Can I make a motion?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, go ahead,
Okay,
make a motion.
I,
Please.
I move to table agenda item 28 to the August 10th work session meeting.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ms. Ortiz. We're gonna go on to vote on this item. Ms. Cavazos,
Yay?
Ms. Ortiz,
Yay.
Mr. Luna,
Yay.
and myself, yay. This item is passed. We're gonna go table this item to August 10th. Thank you. Item number, since we are not, we're going to table this item, there's no need to do a closed session. We're going on to item number 22. Well, I'm sorry, before we go to item to adjourn, does anybody have any comments or any questions or share anything tonight?
Yes, Ms. Limon, may
Ms.
I?
Cavazos, yes.
So it is Mr. Luna's birthday. And what better way for him to spend his birthday than with us? So I just want to wish Mr. Luna a very, very, very happy birthday from the
Happy
entire
birthday,
board
Mr.
and
Luna.
community.
We needed mariachis here.
Yes.
I made it to 59. I hope to make it to 60. That was my, I'll be
Thank you,
really
Mr.
celebrating my jubilee next year.
Thank you, Ms. Cavazos, and happy birthday, Mr. Luna. Going on to item number 22. We have a motion to adjourn. Okay, I adjourn. Go ahead. Go ahead, Ms. Ortiz.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr.
Luna.
Luna, we have a second. Go on to vote on this item. Ms. Cavazos,
Yay.
Mr. Luna,
Yay. Yay.
Ms. Ortiz,
Yay.
and myself. Before I close this item, I just want to make sure that we, Miss Elaine Ortiz, when she came in, the time was 6:39 when she arrived. Thank you. And the meeting is adjourned and it's 7:35. Thank you so much, everybody.
Awesome.